Hello everyone. You are listening to this audiobook on channel Voice for Purpose by NSS IT Bombay.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Chapter 5. The Murder of Snow White. First attempt. But the queen, believing that she had eaten Snow White's lung and liver, could not but think that she was again the first and most beautiful of all. And she went to her looking glass and said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of all?" And the glass answered, "O Queen, thou art fairest of all I see, but over the hills, where the seven dwarfs dwell, Snow White is still alive and well, and none is so fair as she." Then she was astounded, for she knew that the mirror never spoke falsely, and she knew that the huntsman had betrayed her, and that little Snow White was still alive. And so she thought and thought again how she might kill her, for so long as she was not the fairest in the whole land, envy let her have no rest. And when she had at last thought of something to do, she painted her face and dressed herself like an old peddler woman, and no one could have known her. In this disguise, she went over the seven mountains to the seven dwarfs, and knocked at the door and cried, "Pretty things to sell, very cheap, very cheap." Little Snow White looked out of the window and called out, "Good day, my good woman. What have you to sell?" "Good things, pretty things," she answered, "stay laces of all colors." And she pulled out one which was woven of bright colored silk. "This lace is very cheap. It costs only £5, which is a bargain, because on the internet you won't find it below $10. Just check eBay." "I may let the worthy old woman in," thought Snow White, and she unbolted the door and bought the pretty laces. "Child," said the old woman, "what a fright you look! Come, I will lace you properly for once." Snow White had no suspicion, but stood before her, and let herself be laced with new laces. But the old woman laced so quickly and so tightly that Snow White lost her breath and fell down as if dead. "Now I am the most beautiful," said the queen to herself, and ran away. Not long afterwards, in the evening, the seven dwarfs came home. But how shocked they were when they saw their dear little Snow White lying on the ground, and that she neither stirred nor moved, and she seemed to be dead. They lifted her up, and as they saw that she was laced too tightly, they cut the laces. Then she began to breathe a little, and after a while came to life again. When the dwarfs heard what had happened, they said, "The old peddler woman was no one else than the wicked queen. Take care and let no one come in when we are not with you." Second attempt. But the wicked woman, when she had reached home, went in front of the glass and asked, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of all?" And it answered as before, "O Queen, thou art fairest of all I see, but over the hills where the seven dwarfs dwell, Snow White is still alive and well, and no one is so fair as she." When she heard that, all her blood rushed to her heart with fear, for she saw plainly that little Snow White was again alive. But now, she said, "I will think of something that shall really put an end to you." And by the help of witchcraft, which she understood, she made a poisonous comb. Then she disguised herself and took the shape of another old woman. So she went over the seven mountains to the seven dwarfs, knocked at the door, and cried, "Good things to sell, cheap, cheap." Little Snow White looked out and said, "Go away, I cannot let anyone come in." "I suppose you can look," said the old woman, and pulled the poisonous comb out and held it up. It pleased the girl so well that she let herself be beguiled, and opened the door. When they had made a bargain, the old woman said, "Now I will comb you properly for once." Poor little Snow White had no suspicion, and let the old woman do as she pleased. But hardly had she put the comb in her hair than the poison in it took effect, and the girl fell down senseless. You paragon of beauty, said the wicked woman, you are done for now, and she went away. But fortunately it was almost evening when the seven dwarfs came home. When they saw Snow White lying as if dead upon the ground, they at once suspected the stepmother, and they looked and found the poisoned comb. Scarcely had they taken it out when Snow White came to herself and told them what had happened. Then they warned her once more to be upon her guard and to open the door to no one. Third attempt. The queen at home went in front of the glass and said, Mirror, mirror on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of all? Then it answered as before, O queen, thou art fairest of all I see, but over the hills where the seven dwarfs dwell, Snow White is still alive and well, and none is so fair as she. When she heard the glass speak, thus she trembled and shook with rage. Snow White shall die, she cried, even if it cost me my life. Thereupon she went to a quiet, secret, lonely room where no one ever came, and there she made a very poisonous apple. Outside it looked pretty, white, with a red cheek, so that everyone who saw it longed for it, but whoever ate a piece of it must surely die. When the apple was ready, she painted her face and dressed herself up as a farmer's wife. And so she went over the seven mountains to the seven dwarfs. She knocked at the door. Snow White put her head out of the window and said, I cannot let anyone in. The seven dwarfs have forbidden me. It is all the same to me, answered the woman. I shall soon get rid of my apples. There, I will give you one. No, said Snow White, I dare not take anything. Are you afraid of poison? Said the old woman. Look, I will cut the apple in two pieces. You eat the red cheek, and I will eat the white. The apple was so cunningly made that only the red cheek was poisoned. Snow White longed for the fine apple, and when she saw that the woman ate part of it, she could resist no longer, and stretched out her hand and took the poisonous half. But hardly had she a bit of it in her mouth than she fell down dead. Then the queen looked at her with a dreadful look, and laughed aloud and said, White as snow, red as blood, black as ebony wood, this time the dwarfs cannot wake you up again. And when she looked off the looking glass at home, mirror, mirror on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of all? And it answered at last, O queen in this land, thou art fairest of all. Then her envious heart had rest, so far as an envious heart can have rest.